There's a quiet weight many people carry in relationships. A weight no one sees, no one thanks you for, yet it drains you every single day. And if you've ever felt exhausted in love without knowing why, stay with me, because this story might finally put words to what you've been carrying. You're going to learn how unseen emotional and mental labor shapes relationships, why it so often leads to resentment or burnout, and, most importantly, how awareness can become the first step toward relief, balance, and deeper connection. Now let me take you into the story. Start small, almost invisible. You remember the birthdays. You notice when the groceries are running low. You sense the mood shift before a word is spoken. You remind, plan, anticipate, smooth things over, and quietly carry the responsibility of making things work. Your partner might say they help, and in many ways they do, but something still feels off. At night, lying beside them, you feel tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Not angry, not dramatic, just heavy. And you wonder, why does love feel like work I'm doing alone? That question, soft, unsettling, and often unspoken, is where our story truly begins. Psychology has a name for this experience. The invisible load, sometimes called mental labor or emotional labor. It refers to the constant, behind-the-scenes cognitive and emotional effort required to manage daily life and relationships. This includes anticipating needs, tracking tasks, regulating emotions, yours and others, and holding the mental map of a shared life. Neuroscience tells us that sustained cognitive load taxes the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning, decision-making, and emotional regulation. When one partner consistently carries this load, their brain rarely gets to rest, which can lead to chronic stress, irritability, emotional numbness, or burnout. The relationship doesn't break because of one big fight. It erodes through 1,000 small, unseen efforts. And here's where it gets deeper. Imagine a couple, let's call them Ada and Michael. From the outside they look fine. They laugh. They show up to events together. There's no obvious conflict. But inside the relationship, Ada is always on. She remembers appointments. She notices when Michael is quiet and adjusts her tone. She plans meals, social obligations, and family visits. She carries the emotional temperature of the relationship like a thermostat, constantly adjusting so things don't overheat or freeze. Michael, meanwhile, doesn't see a problem. He helps when asked. He believes things are equal. And this is where the invisible load becomes most painful, because what isn't seen often isn't valued. Ada doesn't feel unloved. She feels alone inside the togetherness. And over time, that loneliness turns into something sharper. Resentment. But even resentment feels dangerous to express, because she's learned, often unconsciously, that maintaining harmony is part of her role. From a psychological perspective, this dynamic often develops through social conditioning. Many people, especially women, but not exclusively, are taught early to be emotionally attuned, to anticipate others' needs, to be the glue. The brain adapts to this role. Neural pathways strengthen around hypervigilance and responsibility. You become excellent at managing life, but terrible at resting inside it. Here's the shocking part, the moment that usually wakes people up. Ada doesn't burn out because Michael is cruel or neglectful. She burns out because no one ever taught her that care should be shared, not silently absorbed. And Michael doesn't change, not because he doesn't love her, but because he doesn't feel the weight she's carrying. You can't respond to a burden you can't see. This is where many relationships reach a breaking point. Not with shouting, but with withdrawal. The overburdened partner starts doing less, not out of laziness, but self-preservation. The other partner feels confused, even abandoned. Both feel misunderstood. And the relationship, once rooted in care, begins to feel transactional. But awareness changes everything. When you name the invisible load, you activate a different part of the brain, the part responsible for insight and empathy. Studies in relational psychology show that when partners explicitly map out mental and emotional labor, who plans, who notices, who remembers, conflict decreases and cooperation increases. Not because tasks suddenly vanish, but because responsibility becomes visible and therefore shareable. There's also a deeper emotional layer here. Carrying the invisible load often becomes tied to identity. You don't just do the work. You are the responsible one, the strong one, the one who holds it together. Letting go can feel terrifying because it asks a dangerous question. If I stop managing everything, will I still be loved? That fear keeps many people trapped. But neuroscience reminds us that connection deepens not through overfunctioning, but through mutual vulnerability. When both partners are allowed to be human, forgetful, overwhelmed, learning, the nervous system relaxes. Safety replaces strain. Picture Ada finally naming her experience. Not accusing, not exploding, but explaining. She says, "I'm tired in a way I can't fix alone." And for the first time, Michael listens without defending. He asks questions. He notices patterns he never saw before. The relationship doesn't transform overnight, but something crucial shifts. The load becomes lighter, not because Ada drops it all, but because she no longer carries it alone. This is the quiet healing moment, the reward for staying in the story. The invisible load thrives in silence, but awareness brings it into the light. If this story resonated with you, let it be an invitation, not to blame but to reflect. Ask yourself what you're carrying. Ask what you might not be seeing. Healthy relationships aren't about keeping score. They're about sharing weight. If you want more stories that blend psychology, neuroscience, and emotional truth, stories that help you understand your mind and care for it more gently, stay with this channel. Your awareness is not just insight. It's the beginning of relief.